Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Ya Ali Madad. Inshallah, we will continue on the Farman we started yesterday. Farman Mubarak of the Imam Zaman, made just last week in Berlin, Germany, on 5th July 2026. With the name of the Imam Zaman, Ya Mulai Merban, Ya Mulai Merban, Ya Mulai Merban, Madad Farma, Ya Mulai Merban, Madad Farma, Madad Farma, Ya Mulai Merban, Madad Farma, Madad Farma. Nur Mawlana Shah Rahim al Husaini, Hazir Imam, Ya Mulai Merban, Tawfiq, Tahid, Himmat wa Yari Mola. Tawfiq, Tahid, Himmat wa Yari Mola. Ya Mulai Merban, Madad Farma, Mola. Thank you all again for joining us. Shukr Alhamdulillah that Imam Zaman not only blessing the Jamaat with his didar, but also guiding and sending the Farameen to the rest of the Jamaat all over the world. We have not seen this kind of receiving the Farameen on regular basis, quickly after the Didar. On one hand, it makes us happy, but on the other hand, it also feels heavy on our shoulder that are we doing justice? Are we reading this Farameen the way we should read this Farameen? Are we understanding? Are we reflecting? And above all, are we following the commands, the Amr, the Farman, which Imam is sending to us? It is important that with the Shukr Guzari, this Shukr Guzari should be amli. It is important that we are thankful for all of this mercy, but it must be a practical gratitude. And what makes Imam happy? Does it makes Imam happy when we receive the Farman, read the Farman, reflect on the Farman, or does it make him happy when we follow this Farameen? Yesterday, we were on page number 4 and we had read few of the paragraphs, and I will continue from page number 4, but I'd like to read this very first paragraph of the Farman, and then we will continue where we left off. Please recite the Holy Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Imam says, my dear Jamaat, the remembrance of Allah and your shukrana for whatever life brings you will always be a source of comfort and protection. Remember Allah every day in daily life. Remember Allah in everything you do. You are never alone. I pray that you stay firmly on Sirat al-Mustaqim, that the practice of your faith is an anchor that will bring you peace and stability in your lives. Khanavadan, Khanavadan, Khanavadan. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Alameen. This is the line that made me think, are we giving our shukrana? Not verbally, not just saying thank you, not just saying shukr alhamdulillah, practically. And how do we give practical shukrana? Imam is telling us that part too, and that is to stay firmly on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. So do we sit on the path or do we walk on the path? Do we move forward on this path? Do we come closer and closer to the Nur of the Imam, Nur of the Ali? And all of that takes an action. Practical shukr guzari comes with action, not sitting or verbally saying thank you. It requires our action on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Further down, Mullah says, if you live far away from Jamaat Khana, come together in smaller groups. You see, especially in Europe, and it may be true for Western countries like Canada and Americas, where Jamaat live far, far away from Jamaat Khana. But there can be more than one family in your area. If that is the case, Imam is telling you, as his previous Imams, 40th Imam and 50th Imam, both guided like Shah Rahim today, that it is better to come together and pray together. Come to Jamaat Khana when possible. But when it is not possible, either because you are living too far away from Jamaat Khana, or due to your work and school, or due to any other reason, as we discussed yesterday. But remember him and keep the remembrance of Allah in your heart. As Shah Karim have said, if you have a second, if you have a 5 second, if you have a moment or a minute, take your tasbih, remember him, remember Allah, remember Rasul, remember Imam, remember the Imam of the time. And Qur'an says that namaz, prayers, dua are important. But above all is the remembrance of Allah. As in the remembrance of Allah, you will find the peace and happiness. So come together and pray. And then Imam talks about how to have your responsibility and understanding your own responsibility. And we have dual responsibilities. One is to establish ourselves and be firm on our feet. self-reliance, taking the responsibility for ourselves. But then we also have responsibilities toward our families, toward our friends, toward our Jamaat, and toward our community that we live in. So, inshallah, with that, let's move forward. Imam gives Khana Wadan to the Jamaat, and then Imam says, "My dear Jamaat, you are fortunate that the governments of the Germany and the Western Europe have opened doors and made it possible for you to be here. Europe is a safe place for my Jamaat. In accordance freedom of expression, protection of human rights, and the freedom of religious practices. You have access to good public service, education, healthcare, sports facilities, transport, and security. This is a good long-term home for you. It's a place of opportunity. Make it your home." This same Farman, or this line of Farman, or this line of understanding, Imam have given for the Canada, Americas, and Europe. Because Jamaat is always looking for a better place to make it home. And Imam or Imam of the time guides the Jamaat when and where to make your home. Back in 80s, when very first time Imam of the time came to USA, there was one question in Jamaat's mind, and Imam answered that this is a new Jamaat. Make this your home. Plan for next 50, 100, even 200 years. Make this your home. But stay legal and stay true to your country, meaning wherever you live, make that your home and be a faithful citizen of their country. Just like that, in Europe. Of course, in the Europe, even with the all 20 or so countries in this jurisdiction, is not in a great number. But regardless of the numbers of Ismaili living there, they are making these countries their home, and inshallah they will make a difference in their community. And they will make a difference in their families. If their families are back home, they will lend a hand whenever that is required and needed. As they establish themselves, they will help their family establish too, especially if they are back home in those countries where all of these opportunities are not available. So Imam is guiding the Jamaat to make these countries their home, inshallah, as this is a place of opportunities. Now, some parts of Europe are experiencing a growth in nationalist political movements. They are experiencing a rise in anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim sentiment. I understand that this is a concern for our Jamaat. Remember that where our community settles, it becomes an integrated part of society. It makes a positive contribution across all sectors of society. Our focus should always be on what we have in common with the people amongst whom we live. Let me finish this next two paragraph, and then we will come and reflect on this part. My Jamaat has been settled in Europe since 1950s. It is well integrated. I hope those who have arrived more recently will follow the same path. The young people in the Jamaat will be more capable of adapting with greater ease. They will be able to learn languages and integrate more rapidly. They will form new cultural identities which will bridge geography and culture. Absolutely, when we move to these strange countries, sometime or most of the time, we find those countries with welcoming and open arm, accepting the immigrants from other countries, from other culture with other languages. But sometime here and there, and it may be welcoming at the beginning or one time, and not so friendly or welcoming at the other time, as the politics change, as the environment change, as the events makes it difficult for some locals to accept others from outside. And we see this, and we have learned from this in our history. Africa is the best example of that. After welcoming and after accepting and after taking the great benefit from the Ismailis, businesses and politics and the mindset and the guidance of the Imam for so many years, over a century, they decided they do not want us. The politics changed. And we settled in different countries like Canada and Europe. Just like that, there can happen that at the beginning they may be welcoming, and there can happen that due to some changes in the world's politics or some event, like in America, 9/11, or in Europe, so many things are happening, or in Middle East or Far East or in Asia, things are happening which are making the people uncomfortable. So Imam is guiding us. Look how we have done in the past. We stay firm on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, and we stay true to the country we are living in. And we become part of their culture. We integrate ourselves into their culture. And be honest to your neighbors and to your community. Show them the true side of Islam and the true side of being a Ismaili under the flagship of Imamat. And when you do that, they will be able to see a clear difference between others, may that be other foreigners or other Muslims, and Ismailis, as stranger, but as part of that community, because we contribute and we become part of that community. We integrate into our community. And we have learned from our history and we have learned from our elders, and we are learning from the Jamaat which have come before us. And inshallah, the next Jamaat which will come after us, and if we are good role model for them, they will learn from us. It may be a little bit harder for the elders, but it is very easy for our children, our young Jamaat, because they can learn the languages much faster and they can integrate much easier. Imam goes further in this Farman. When you stay firmly rooted in your faith, so this is the answer to the difficulties above that Imam mentioned. When you stay firmly rooted in your faith, when your faith is the foundation of your identity, this new culture identity will be tremendous access to you. It will give you a unique view of the world. This reminds me some of the comments that our brothers in Islam have made to me or in general. What is there about Ismailis? Then wherever they go, regardless of the circumstances, they exist not only quickly, but perfectly. When we also have come from the same country, same culture, same background, same languages, and sometimes we even have the language and opportunities more than Ismailis. But when it comes to our adjustment, adopting the culture, takes us many, many more years. And sometimes we never completely adjust and adopt the community, whereas we see you, Ismailis, come and adjust quickly. Even if you do not have the same opportunities as we do, you adjust quickly and perfectly and completely. How do you all do it? And my answer to them always was one reason: we have the guidance of the Imam, a living Imam of the time. And with his guidance and his blessings, we are able to do that. Even with the less opportunity, less resources, we can adjust much faster and much better. Second, I tell them, we have learned from our history. Our Jamaat, our Imams have migrated according to the time, according to circumstances, and we have adjusted. We have lived openly and we have lived in hiding if this is what it takes. Our Imams have given Qurbani, our Jamaat have given Qurbani, but we adjust and we adopt according to the time and according to the place. And all of this is possible because we have the guidance and the blessings of the Imam, a living Imam of the time. And this is where Imam is and his Farmans are, guiding the Jamaat. Children and the parents and the grandparents may have different lived experiences and different perspectives. Therefore, it is important for you to recognize this difference and to find a comfortable way of communicating with each other in your families and across the Jamaat. So true. Sometimes we see 3, even 4 generations living together, and they completely have different view of the culture or the country or the businesses or the way of living in those strange countries. Of course, our grandparents and parents will be more conservative. More way of thinking would be the old culture, old way. But if you are wise, you will learn what you need to learn from them and take the values that they bring from the old way of living. And then you will adapt and adjust with those values into the new things that you have learned, and you will teach that to your children. But respectfully to the previous generation, and you may not agree with your children, then respectfully with the future generation. Because remember, you had different views than your parents. Then why would you expect your children will not have a different take and a different view? Of course, they will have a different view. And if that is the case, then you must be respectful to that, as they should be respectful to you. A mutual understanding between the generations. And those who are able to adopt that, they are more successful. And those who are not able to adopt that, and they say my way or highway, then the family breaks and splits. And everyone loses. Learn from each other and support each other, and find a comfortable way of communicating with each other, not only in your families, even within the Jamaat. Because sometimes we find our young and old leaders may not agree with your view, and they may not agree with your view, and you will not agree with their view. So how do we find a comfortable level? Communication. Instead of blaming each other, how about we communicate with each other? Fluency in the national language of the place where you live is crucial for everyone. It is required in order to integrate into society at large. It is required to improve your economic prospects and to advise your education, and advise and advance your education. Make this a priority. Try to learn English as well. This will expand the opportunities available to you. I am happy to know there are institutions who are supporting language training for those who need it. Remember, this Farman is in Germany, which language is not English. Imam clearly saying, if you are living in Europe, matter of fact, Imam has said the same thing in Indo-Pak, in Middle East, in other countries where English is not a primary language of the land. And what have Imam said? English is the passport to the world. Imagine yourself living in Germany and you only know Germany or German language, Dutch language, or some other language which is spoken in a country or two like French. What if you have two languages, one English and one whatever local language you need to learn? English will be the passport to the Europe and to the rest of the world, because that's the language of the trade and language of the countries around the world. One common language. Imam has been emphasizing this since the 48th Jama, in the time of Sultan Muhammad Shah, Salawatullah alayhi, may our soul be sacrificed to their Imam, have been emphasizing on the English language. Shah Karim and then now Shah Rahim. Again and again. The most important language to communicate around the world. Around the world. Very important. An educated person is curious. An educated person seeks opportunity to develop knowledge and skills. If you keep learning, you will be better able to adapt. Here, education or educated person is not limited to school, but if you keep learning, regardless of your age, then you will be able to adapt easily, faster, and much more comprehensive, because you will understand as you have learned the skills or the languages or have that education background. And with the continued education, you can adapt to this environment much more easier, regardless of where you are. Imam continues, if you have an aptitude for academic learning, take advantage of the educational opportunities available here. If the right path for you is through vocational training, if you are interested in practical trades or craftsmanship or working with your hands, develop those skills or look at opportunities in the service industry. There's another beauty of our Jamaat. We adjust and we learn. Everyone cannot be scientist. Everyone cannot be professor. Everyone cannot be a doctor. Everyone cannot be electrician or a plumber. Then there are other skills and trades. A practical way is what you think you can do and you are best at. Go into that market and learn those skills and develop those skills and be good at what you do. I was just speaking to someone last week and I was amazed at where Ismailis are in America. So let's say we are developed in America for 50 years. There is no skill or market or trade that you will not find Ismailis. And amazingly, from garbage picking service to politics, from professor and teachers to working in a school's cafeteria, from working in a convenience store or gas station to owning the franchises, restaurants. from a service industries, workmanship, craftsmanship, to scientists, from doctors to working as a worldly in the hospital or in a medical field. It's amazing where Ismaili have not adjusted themselves again and again. We adopt and we look for the opportunities wherever it may be. And there is no shame in working in a McDonald's or owning a McDonald's. There is no problem in that. Honest living is honest living. As long as it is an honest living, then you can be a garbage pickup person to owning a garbage company that picks up your garbage. And there's nothing, no shame in it. From a sweeper to owning a maid company, there is no shame. Honest living is an important part of it. Ethics is an important part of it. Whichever path my Jamaat should seek to make the most of the educational opportunities available to you. Commit to lifelong learning. Be the best you can be. Keep learning in order to expand employment and business opportunities. The time and the effort spent on education will never be wasted. Education teaches you to think and to work through problems. It helps you adapt. It helps you to respond to changing circumstances and environments. And it can never be taken away from you. Subhanallah, subhanallah, indeed. Integrate into the wider community. You can do that without compromise. It does not mean losing your own identity. Another important part, doesn't matter what you do, sometimes you may have to adjust to the circumstances and environment. I have seen people losing the jobs they had. I just heard one of our old colleague that had worked with me in a huge oil industries. At one time, he had lost that job because of the crisis in oil industries in Texas. And we moved into the other businesses for a while. But finally, when time came, he came back and he adjusted. And he opened his own company and became really well settled family. And not only that, he is helping so many others in his company. We don't give up. For time being, if we have to adjust, we adjust. If we have to live with a low income, we live. But when time comes, when environment is correct, we readjust, and when we rise and when we make it big, we help others. Always be open to help others, regardless of what happens. You always keep your heart and your arms open and help others, regardless of what they do to you or who they are. Always be there for others. And this is how our Imam is guiding and coaching and teaching us. Integrate into the wider community. You can do that without compromise. It does not mean losing your own identity. Our community lives according to the principle of our faith. Our values are universal human values. Our values guide us to be honest, to have integrity, to conduct ourselves ethically. My Jamaat has a well-earned reputation of being trustworthy, reliable, and law-abiding. We respect the laws of the countries where we live. I would like my Jamaat to live according to the values of our faith. Let me repeat this part. Imam said two different things here. We respect the laws of the countries where we live. And then Imam says, I would like my Jamaat to live according to the values of our faith. This should bring unity in the Jamaat and harmony in your homes. Imam Shah Rahim have given this Farman, and I'm paraphrasing. Adapt to the values of these countries. And he was talking in Canada and America. Take what is good and leave what is not good and does not match with our value, our ethics of Islam. And don't get involved in the habits which is not and does not align with our values. So we respect the laws of the countries where we live. We adopt and we adjust. We take what is good in the communities, and when we leave what is not and does not match with our values of our faith. And when you do that, it helps us in the Jamaat and in our families. The Quran instructs us to respect each other. This one half line guides us and tells us, respectfully, when we are living in a strange land amongst the other communities, amongst different religion, different background, different habits, different way of eating and talking. We respectfully accept what they do not criticize them. This is their way. But at the same time, you protect yourself and your values, your ethics, your background, and your culture. Easily we can see that we are living in a different world where their culture, their religion, and their eating and drinking habits are not same as ours. So what does Quran teaches us? Tolerance. We accept them as they are. But at the same time, we follow our ethics, our values, without compromising our values. We accept their culture as they are. That reminds me again, one of the reasons other communities coming from the same countries as you are cannot adjust because they cannot change their clothing. Jevo des evo ways. Your clothing must match your environment. They cannot do that. When they don't do that, They are always stranger in the land. They are always foreigners in their land because they cannot change their clothing. What was the teaching and guidance of the Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah to African Jamaat? Jevo des, evo ves. Your clothing must match your environment. You cannot wear kurta shalwar in the suit and tie environment. We adapt and adjust. We cannot wear burqa and hijab in open communities where the communities are identified by their clothing. But we are not asking anyone to wear shameful clothes. Respectful clothing can be adopted. You cannot wear an overcoat in 100 temperature. You adjust to the temperature. And you cannot wear shorts in the cold environment. You adjust to the environment. Just like that, your clothing must match your community, your country. Your adjustment must be according to the place you are living in. That is how you adjust. And tolerance. If they choose to wear burqa and kurta shalwar, then you respectfully tolerant that too. If this is what they want to do not criticize them either. So you have to accept those who do not want to adjust to the community, and you also adjust to the community which you are integrating in. On both sides, you have to be a person of acceptance, respectfully. So the Quran instructs us to respect each other and to protect the valuable, vulnerable, and protect the vulnerable. I want to say very clearly that there is no place in our Jamaat for domestic violence abuse when anyone in our community is being hurt. It is as if I am being hurt. Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah says, when you fight with each other, it's like you are putting needles in my eyes. Don't do that. Don't hurt each other. When they hurt you, it does not mean you have to hurt them. You remain respectful and adapt to the environment. You always keep your arm and heart open even when it's not comfortable for you. Don't hurt others physically or with your words. Every member of my Jamaat should be able to feel safe in their home, in their own home, and to feel emotionally. Every member of my Jamaat should be able to feel emotionally and physically safe and protected. Seek help if you need it. There is no stigma to seeking help. My institutions and my Jamaat are here to help. You can tell here in this paragraph, Imam was disturbed by the clapping and applause, so he had to repeat himself. Every member of my Jamaat should be able to feel emotionally and physically safe and protected. Seek help if you need. There is no stigma to seeking help. My institution and my Jamaat are here to help. I'm sorry I have gone over my time limit. So let me stop here. As always, it is your responsibility to read the rest of the Farman and read the Farman we have already read. My apology for going over my time. Inshallah, Imam is great and most merciful. Please recite the Holy Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. And I will give the mic back to Kia. Thank you, Ya Ali Madad.